You need to understand something important. Consistency is not about motivation. It's not about waking up every day feeling excited or inspired. That's unrealistic. Many people get stuck believing they must feel ready, confident, or motivated before taking action. That mindset is exactly why they remain inconsistent. Waiting until you feel like it is what holds you back. The issue isn't a lack of motivation. The real problem is tying consistency to emotions, which are temporary and unreliable. They shift with your mood, the weather, or even a passing comment. If you only act when it feels easy, you won't build anything meaningful. You don't need to feel ready to show up. You don't need to feel good about it or even believe in yourself in the moment. What you need is to decide. That's the entire key. Consistency is a choice, one you make regardless of how you feel. It's about committing and following through, especially when it's hard, uncomfortable, or when every part of you wants to quit. Those are the moments that shape your future, because growth comes from pushing through resistance, not from what's easy. Successful people are not born with more discipline or drive. They have trained themselves to act despite their feelings and refuse to bargain with excuses. Consistency is not about being superhuman. It's about being deliberate. It's deciding, this matters to me and I will follow through no matter what. If you're not consistent, you're signaling to yourself that it doesn't matter enough. A hard truth, but a necessary one. You've already proven you can be consistent. You've shown up for school, work, and others even when you didn't want to. The problem isn't your ability, it's where you direct it. Too often you've been more consistent with distractions than with your goal. That can change the moment you choose to take your future seriously. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, even without wanting to, you build self-trust, and that trust is the foundation of confidence. If you want change, don't wait for a certain mood, the perfect moment, or absolute clarity. Start now. Act. Decide. The first attempts at consistency will feel awkward and uncomfortable. You may even fail, but that's part of the process. The point is to keep showing up, again and again, until it becomes your default, until it becomes part of who you are. Let's stop pretending consistency is some rare talent only others possess. It's a skill, a choice, and it's available to you right now, if you are willing to drop excuses and take control of your actions. So the next time your alarm goes off and you don't feel like getting up, do it anyway. The next time you want to skip the gym, postpone the email, or break a promise to yourself, pause and decide to follow through. Not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That's what consistent people do, and you can become that person. One decision at a time. Here's the truth. Believing you need to feel like it before you act is one of the biggest myths holding you back. It's a trap, and many people don't even realize they're caught in it. You wake up and ask yourself, do I feel like working out? Do I feel like making that call? Do I feel like doing the hard thing? And if the answer is no, you delay, distract yourself, or convince yourself you'll do it later. But how often does later actually happen? Almost never. That's because motivation is not something you wait for. It's something you create, and you create it through action, not by thinking about action. Movement comes first. Once you move, your mindset follows. But if you wait for the right mood, you'll stay stuck, trapped in your comfort zone, overthinking, telling yourself you need more energy, clarity, or preparation. The reality is you need to stop giving emotions so much power. You are not your feelings, your mood, your doubts, or your fears. You are the choices you make in difficult moments. You either act in line with your goals, or you don't. And that's what consistency demands. Action without needing approval from your emotions. You don't have to feel like it, you have to do it. Think about anything important in your life. School, work, family, commitment. Have you always felt like doing them? Of course not, but you showed up anyway. Why? Because you understood the consequences of not showing up. There were deadlines, responsibilities, and expectations. When it comes to personal goals, there's no boss watching and no teacher grading you. It's just you. And that's where many people fall short. When the only person holding you accountable is yourself and your standard is I'll do it when I feel like it, you will keep falling short. Here's what you need to do. Detach action from emotion. Stop asking how you feel and start asking what needs to be done. Become the kind of person who acts in service of their future, not their mood, because moods can mislead you. They will tell you you're too tired, that it's not urgent, or that it's fine to skip today. Every time you listen, you strengthen the habit of procrastination. Every time you delay, you make it easier to delay again. But the reverse is also true. Each time you act, despite not wanting to, you build strength. Each time you push through resistance, you prove you are in control, not your excuses, laziness, or doubts. And the more you act, the more momentum you create. That's how confidence is built. Not by hype, but by consistently showing up. Here's the reality. Once you start, feelings often follow. You may feel more focused, engaged, and energized. That's because action changes your brain chemistry. It pulls you out of the fog of inaction and into clarity, but only if you get past the discomfort of starting. So stop waiting to feel like the version of you that acts despite discomfort, doubt, and low motivation already exists. You just need to stop silencing it with excuses. The future you want is on the other side of actions you currently resist. The sooner you understand that, the sooner you stop being controlled by moods and start being guided by purpose. When you have an idea or something important to do, something that could move your life forward, you have a short window, about 5 seconds before your brain talks you out of it. Within that time, fear, self-doubt, and excuses start to build. Your brain's job isn't to make you successful, it's to keep you safe from failure, embarrassment, and anything unfamiliar. The fastest way it does this is by convincing you not to act. That's where the 5-second rule comes in. It's not just a trick, it's a tool to interrupt that autopilot and give you a moment of control. You count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then you move, speak, send the email, go to the gym, or put your phone away. It may seem almost too simple to be effective, but that's the strength of it. The 5-second rule bypasses the noise in your mind, cuts through hesitation, and gives you a brief moment of control before your brain can sabotage your intentions. Using it is more than just getting out of bed on time or starting a task you've been avoiding. It's about teaching yourself that you are in control. It builds the habit of taking immediate action, and when practiced consistently, that habit creates consistency in every area of life. This is how you stay committed even when your feelings push you in the opposite direction. You act quickly, without negotiating, and without waiting for the right moment, because that moment rarely comes. What many people overlook is that your mind has 2 modes, automatic and manual. Most people operate on automatic, choosing what's easy, familiar, and comfortable. But when you want to grow, change, or build something lasting, you need to switch to manual and take deliberate control. That's what counting down does. It engages the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and goal setting. That small shift can change everything. Think about the times you hesitated, a pause that cost you an opportunity. You didn't speak up, reach out, or follow through, not because you couldn't, but because you gave your brain time to shut the idea down. Every extra second allows fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt to take over. The 5-second rule is your way to close the gap between intention and action, and that's the gap where most people fail. When you use it, you will feel resistance. Your brain will push back. That's normal. It's the same kind of discomfort you feel when lifting a heavy weight at the gym, a tension that builds strength. The more you push through it, the more consistent you become. Because consistency isn't about dramatic actions. It's about small, repeated actions done without overthinking. This tool gives you that control. No more waiting for the perfect time or hoping motivation arrives. You create momentum by acting quickly, deliberately, and repeatedly. Over time, your brain begins to expect. You form a new identity, someone who follows through, who doesn't hesitate when it's time to act, and who doesn't let fear decide their actions. That is the true value of the 5-second rule. It's not about hacks or willpower, but about reclaiming control over your behavior. It's about retraining your brain to act like the person you want to become. The person who gets up when staying in bed would be easier, who makes the call instead of procrastinating, who takes control instead of waiting for a sudden wave of inspiration. It's simple, backed by science, and it works if you actually use it. So the next time hesitation creeps in, don't overthink. Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move. Your future depends on it. Discipline isn't something you're born with, and it's not a rare genetic trait reserved for a few. Discipline is a skill, like riding a bike or playing an instrument, built through repetition and effort. Many assume highly consistent people have extraordinary willpower, but that's not true. What they have is a system, a commitment to doing the hard thing repeatedly until it becomes second nature. That's what discipline really is. The decision to act in alignment with your goals even when, and especially when, you don't feel like it. Motivation, by contrast, is unreliable. It comes and goes, and if your habits rely on it, your progress will be inconsistent. Discipline provides a steady foundation you can depend on even when life gets messy. Because it will. You'll be tired, frustrated, and have bad days. But discipline ensures you still show up, not perfectly, not always enthusiastically, but with commitment. The best part, discipline compounds. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you're not only making progress, you're making yourself stronger. You're proving to your brain, I can trust myself. That self-trust changes how you carry yourself and how you speak to yourself. You move from hoping you'll stay consistent to knowing you will, and that's when real change begins. Building discipline doesn't require huge leaps. It starts small, waking up at the same time each day, doing a 10-minute workout, or committing to 15 minutes of focused work before checking your phone. These may seem minor, but they're not. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the identity of someone who is disciplined, someone who does the work, someone who doesn't make excuses. And here's the truth. Your brain is always watching. It learns from your action. The more you give in to excuses, the more it accepts them as the default. But the more you act despite them, the more it learns that discipline, not excuses, runs the show. Every time you act with discipline, even in a small way, your brain learns, this is who we are now. That shift in identity is what turns short-term actions into lasting habits. Of course, it will be uncomfortable. That's the point. Discipline is born in discomfort. It's easy to stick to a plan when you feel great. But that's not where growth happens. You grow when you get up and do it anyway. When you choose the long-term reward over the short-term relief. That choice, that tension, is where discipline lives. And the more you make it, the more automatic it becomes. Many people wait for life to get easier, for resistance to vanish, or for the path to smooth itself out. But the truth is, it doesn't get easier. You get strong. You become the person who can handle hard days, who doesn't quit when challenges appear, who keeps going even when progress feels slow or invisible. That's what discipline gives you. The ability to keep moving when others stop. And then there's the pride. The pride you feel after doing the hard thing is unmatched. It's not loud or showy, it's quiet and internal. But it transforms you. It builds a confidence that doesn't rely on praise or external achievement, but on knowing you showed up when it counted. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel disciplined. You build discipline by doing, by acting before you're ready, by proving to yourself choice by choice that you are capable of hard things. That's how you change, grow, and become consistent. Not by wishing for more motivation, but by developing the skill of discipline, one decision at a time. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you safe. That's why being consistent often feels difficult. Every time you try to create a new habit or commit to a change, your brain pushes back, not because it's against you, but because it's doing its job. Its priority is survival, and change, even positive change, feels like a threat. This is why you feel resistance. It's why your mind gives you excuses, distractions, and rationalizations. Your brain wants to keep you in what's familiar and predictable. Even if your current habits are unhelpful, they're known, and that familiarity feels safe. So when you try to break the pattern, whether it's with workouts, writing, business, or anything else, your brain throws up resistance like a wall, whispering, "You're too tired. You can do it later. It's okay to skip just this one." If you're not aware of what's happening, you'll believe that thought. You'll think it's true, but it's not. It's just your brain trying to protect you from change. Understanding this is a game changer. It gives you power, because once you realize that resistance isn't a signal to stop, but a sign to keep going, you stop being controlled by it. You stop giving in so easily. You learn to expect resistance and see it for what it really is. A normal part of the process. It's not proof that something's wrong. It's proof that you're moving into unfamiliar territory. You're expanding and your brain is simply trying to pull you back to what it knows. The key is to override that system, to act anyway. Because the only way to rewire your brain is through action. You can't think your way into a habit. You can't visualize your way into consistency. You have to do the thing repeatedly until the new behavior feels familiar and the resistance quiets. That takes time, effort, and most importantly, awareness. You have to catch yourself in the moment when you start negotiating, when you start making excuses, and pause to say, this is the resistance I knew would come, and I'm not letting it win. It will get easier, but only after it gets hard. At first, pushing through feels like climbing a steep hill, but each time you do it, you carve a new path in your brain. That's neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change through experience. Every time you act despite resistance, you weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. Eventually, what once felt hard becomes automatic, not because the task changed, but because you did. This is why forcing yourself to be consistent isn't just about willpower. It's about understanding your biology. Your brain doesn't care about your goals. It cares about comfort. It wants you to stay in bed, stay quiet, stay small. That's why it resists your alarm, your workout, your side project, your dreams. But you're not here to stay safe. You're here to grow. And growth requires discomfort. It requires walking straight into resistance and acting anyway. You'll never completely eliminate resistance, but you can learn to move through it. You can train yourself to act even when it's there. That's what high performers do, not because they never feel resistance, but because they don't listen to it. They expect it, recognize it, and override it. They make action the default, and you can do the same. Stop believing the lie that resistance means stop. Resistance means go. It means keep pushing. It means you're right on the edge of growth. So don't pull back or hesitate. Override the urge and act. Let's talk about momentum. Because one of the biggest differences between people who stay consistent and those who start and stop is how they handle it. Momentum is forward motion, the energy created by taking action. It's what carries you through hard days, low energy moments, and times when motivation is gone. Momentum doesn't appear by chance, it's built, one small action at a time. Many people wait for the right moment to begin, until they feel ready, until schedules are clear, until everything lines up. But momentum doesn't come from waiting, thinking, or even motivation. It comes from doing. A single small step, writing one sentence, doing 5 push-ups, making one call, can spark it. Once it's there, momentum becomes your ally, making the next step easier and the next after that. Tasks that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable, and your confidence grows with each step forward. But here's the truth. If you stop, you lose it. Momentum is like pushing a boulder uphill. It's slow at first, but once it moves, it carries forward. Stop pushing and it slows. Leave it too long, and you're back at the start, rebuilding from scratch. That's why consistency matters more than perfection or intensity. Each time you show up, even in a small way, you protect your momentum and keep the progress going. That steady rhythm is what leads to real breakthroughs. Many people ask, how do I stay motivated? That's the wrong question. The real question is, how do I keep my momentum alive? When you protect momentum, you don't need motivation. The energy comes from action itself. You act, you see progress, and that progress fuels you in return. If you only act when inspired, your journey will be stop-start, filled with frustration, guilt, and wasted time. Momentum also shapes identity. How you see yourself influences how you show up. If you believe you're someone who quits, you'll quit. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll act inconsistently. But when you stack even small wins, you change that story. You start to believe, I'm someone who shows up, I follow through. That belief strengthens your momentum and keeps you moving even when conditions aren't perfect. You don't need extremes. You need commitment. Show up, even when it's boring. Show up when it's hard. Show up when you'd rather be doing anything else. Because each time you do, you're not only moving forward, you're sending your brain a clear message. We don't negotiate with excuses. We act. That message becomes part of your identity. Consistency is built not through rare bursts of extreme effort, but through daily deliberate action, whether it's perfect, messy, or just 5 minutes. And if you miss a day because everyone does, don't let the pause turn into a pattern. Return to action quickly. Don't overthink. Don't dwell. Don't wait for the right mood. Take one step. Write a single sentence. Go for a short walk. Complete one small task. Because that small step reactivates your momentum. It reminds you of your capability. And the faster you move again, the less impact the pause will have. Momentum is your responsibility. No one else can build it or maintain it for you. It's yours to create, protect, and use. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for ideal conditions. Start with what you have, where you are, and take one step forward. Then repeat tomorrow. That's how momentum grows. That's how consistency becomes part of your character. There's a version of you you haven't met yet. More disciplined, more consistent, more resilient, a version that follows through without talking themselves out of commitment. That version is not a fantasy. It's already within you, but the only way to meet it is through action, repetition, and doing the work even when you don't feel like it. Your future self, the confident, focused, successful version, won't appear by chance. You create it with today's action. The challenge is that many people want results without the process. They want transformation without repetition, confidence without the habits, success without the daily work. But who you become is shaped by what you repeatedly do, not by wishes or intention. You can't just think about being consistent. You have to live it, especially when it's difficult. Every day you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to be. When you show up despite inconvenience, you vote for the disciplined version of yourself. When you keep a promise to yourself, even in small ways, you strengthen the identity of someone who follows through. When you skip the habit, break the plan, or avoid the work, you're not only slowing progress, you're reinforcing the belief that you're someone who quit. That belief can become a self-fulfilling cycle. The good news is, you can break it the moment you choose action again. You can break that cycle one decision at a time. You can start acting like your future self now. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions, because they will never arrive. The future version of you isn't built someday. It's built in the middle of stress, challenges, and all the reasons you could quit, but choose not to. That's when the shift happens. When you decide the old version of you, the one who starts strong but fades quickly, is no longer who you are. And that transformation isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle and steady. It happens in quiet choices no one else notices. It's deciding to keep writing when you're tired. It's speaking kindly to yourself when doubt sets in. It's showing up again and again, even when progress feels slow. Real change comes not from waiting for a big breakthrough, but from mastering the small, repeated actions your future self relies on. Ask yourself, what does that future version of me do every day? What decisions do they make? How do they handle setbacks? That version of you doesn't avoid challenges. They've practiced facing them so often that it feels normal. They've trained their mind to follow through regardless of mood. That's what makes them consistent. And you can practice the same approach starting today. You don't have to do everything perfectly. You simply need to behave like the person you want to become, even in small ways. Future you doesn't spend hours scrolling. Future you gets up when the alarm rings. Future you keeps promises, even without an audience. Every time you act in line with that version, you bring it closer to reality. You're not pretending, you're practicing. You're rehearsing the traits you want to lock into your identity. This is the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And start asking, what would the future me do? That question brings clarity. It cuts through distractions. Because future you is consistent. Future you doesn't negotiate with procrastination. When you act from that place, even in small moments, you start to Here's the key. The more you behave like your future self, the more your brain believes that's who you already are. That belief shapes new actions, and those actions create new results. That's how consistency is built. Not by waiting or wishing, but by stepping into your future identity right now.